Sometimes Allah allows you to walk through seasons of loneliness, not because He has abandoned you, but because He is rebuilding you. When the world becomes quiet and every door you were leaning on begins to close, that is often when Allah is preparing the most intimate conversation between you and Him. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is an invitation. Brokenness is not a flaw. It is a doorway. Allah chooses certain hearts for these moments because He knows those hearts can rise in ways others cannot. He knows that isolation will detach you from the noise that distracted you, from the people who drained you, and from the illusions you thought you needed. In the silence, He teaches you who you truly belong to. In the age, He shows you the strength you didn't know you carried. And in the stillness, He reshapes your life in ways you don't yet understand. Every wound you're carrying is allowed by the one who can heal it in an instant. Every tear is witnessed by the one who can turn it into a dua that changes your destiny. When Allah chooses you for hardship, He also chooses you for elevation. When He allows loneliness into your life, He is carving space for a deeper connection, one that no human relationship can replace. Your pain is not meaningless. Your emptiness is not failure. This is the moment He is calling you back to Him, purifying you, strengthening you, and preparing you for something greater than the life you wanted. Allah's choice is never random. If you feel alone or broken, it's because He is writing a chapter that only a chosen heart can carry. Trust Him. Let the breaking become your turning point, and let your loneliness become the place where you rediscover the one who never leaves. Loneliness is not abandonment. It is one of the most misunderstood gifts Allah places in a believer's life. When you feel unseen, unheard, or disconnected from the people around you, your heart immediately assumes something has gone wrong. You start to ask yourself why others don't show up the way you show up for them, why conversations feel empty, why the world feels distant even when you're surrounded by people. But what if that feeling is not a sign of loss, but a sign of being redirected? What if loneliness is not a punishment, but a gentle pulling away from the attachments that were quietly consuming you? Sometimes Allah removes certain voices from your life so you can finally hear your own. Sometimes He distances you from people so you can recognize who truly deserves to stay. And sometimes He puts you in a state of isolation so you can meet the most important presence of all, His. When Allah loves a heart, He purifies it. And purification rarely happens in comfort. It happens in the quiet nights, when you're forced to confront the things you've been avoiding. It happens in the moments when there's no one left to run to except the one who never leaves. Loneliness becomes the space where your dunya attachments begin to loosen, where you stop relying on people to fill the gaps only Allah can fill. It is during these moments of emptiness that you discover the difference between being alone and being abandoned. Abandonment is when creation walks away. Loneliness in the spiritual sense is when the Creator draws you closer by removing everything that distracts you from Him. Many people fear loneliness because they associate it with weakness or worthlessness. But Allah does not isolate a heart unless He intends to strengthen it. He does not pull you away from people unless He is preparing you for a deeper understanding of yourself and your relationship with Him. Think of every prophet. Each one experienced moments of deep solitude before their greatest missions. Musa stood alone in the desert before Allah spoke to him. Yusuf was alone in a well, then alone in a prison, before Allah raised him in honor. Maryam was alone when she gave birth, yet Allah made her loneliness the background of a miracle. These stories teach us that isolation is not a sign of being forgotten, it is a sign of being chosen for something higher. When you feel alone, Allah is often reshaping your heart in ways you cannot see yet. He is teaching you resilience, patience, He is guiding you to detach from unhealthy expectations and from the people who were never meant to be anchors in your life. Sometimes the silence around you is where you finally hear the whispers of your own soul, the ones that say, I need healing, I need rest, I need Allah. Loneliness forces you to slow down. It takes away the noise and distractions so you can finally sit with the parts of yourself that you've been too busy to acknowledge. And slowly, something beautiful begins to happen. You start realizing that the peace you were searching for in people was always available in sujud. The validation you were seeking from the world was always known by the one who sees your heart without you saying a word. The comfort you wanted from others becomes insignificant compared to the comfort Allah places directly into your soul when you turn to Him sincerely. Your prayers become deeper, your tears become healing, and your heart starts recognizing a love that is far more stable than anything the world can offer. Loneliness becomes a transformation. It becomes the place where Allah teaches you what it means to rely on Him, trust Him, and surrender to His wisdom. You begin to understand that being alone is not the absence of people. It is the presence of Allah in a way you may have never experienced before. And as He fills your heart, you realize that you were never abandoned. You were being protected. You were being redirected. You were being purified. You were being chosen. Brokenness is a doorway through which Allah rebuilds and elevates you. It may not feel that way when your heart is heavy and your life feels scattered into pieces. In those moments, brokenness seems like the end, an ending of stability, an ending of comfort, an ending of who you thought you were. But with Allah, an ending is often the beginning of a transformation you were not able to reach on your own. Sometimes Allah allows a heart to break, because the version of you that existed before that moment can no longer carry the greatness He wants to place in your life. The cracks you feel within you are not signs of destruction. They are openings through which light enters, guidance enters, and healing begins. You are not being shattered for nothing. You are being reshaped. When a believer breaks, something profound happens. The illusions you once lived with begin to fall away. The things that made you arrogant, careless, or overly attached start to dissolve. Suddenly, you are more aware of your need for Allah. You feel the truth of your dependence on Him in ways you never felt. Brokenness strips away pride. It humbles the heart. It softens the soul. And a softened heart is the closest to Allah. Sometimes it is only in the moments when you feel completely helpless that you truly experience His power. Only when you are emptied do you allow Him to fill you with something better. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every loss carries a hidden wisdom that you may not comprehend now. Allah does not break a heart except to rebuild it with more sincerity, more clarity, and more strength. A heart that has tasted pain becomes more compassionate. A soul that has cried to Allah becomes more connected. A person who has walked through fire becomes more aware of what truly matters. Your broken moments are chiseling away the layers that prevented you from seeing your own purpose. They are removing what was blocking your growth, be it a person, a desire, or a version of yourself that needed to be left behind. Think of how gold is purified by intense heat. Think of how diamonds are formed under extreme pressure. Think of how a seed breaks before it grows. Nothing valuable emerges without going through a process of breaking, burning, or transforming. Your heart is no different. Allah is purifying it, strengthening it, and elevating it through the very experiences that made you fall to your knees. What breaks you today may be the same struggle that makes you unshakable tomorrow. What hurts you now may be the very thing that opens a path you never imagined possible. Allah does not rebuild you back to your original state. He rebuilds you into someone wiser, stronger, and more grounded in faith. There are parts of your destiny that can only be unlocked through hardship. There are qualities within you, patience, resilience, empathy, depth that would never develop without experiencing brokenness. If Allah wants to raise you, He will first humble you. If He wants to protect you, He might separate you from what was harming you, even if it breaks you. If He wants to get you closer to Him, He might take you through a storm that forces you to hold onto Him tighter than ever before. In every breaking, there is a divine intention. In every wound, there is a hidden mercy. And the most beautiful reality is this: Allah is the one who heals. Humans may comfort you, but only Allah can restore what was shattered inside you. He is Al-Jabbar, the one who not only mends the broken pieces, but puts them back together in a way that makes you more whole than before. When He rebuilds you, He does it with precision, mercy, and wisdom. He elevates you by teaching you lessons that ease cannot teach. He lifts you by grounding you in reliance on Him. He strengthens you by showing you that your true power never came from the world. It always came from Him. So when you feel broken, do not see it as humiliation. See it as preparation. When you feel like you've fallen apart, remember that Allah rebuilds differently. He rebuilds you with purpose. He elevates you through the very pain you wish to escape. And when He lifts you, you will rise as someone new, someone more aligned with your destiny, more connected to your Creator, and more aware that every breaking was, in reality, a doorway towards becoming who you were meant to be. Every closed door is protection and redirection, not rejection. We often look at the moments when things don't go our way and assume that something has gone wrong. A job you prayed for slips away, a person you cared about walks out of your life, an opportunity you were preparing for suddenly collapses, or a path you were deeply invested in gets blocked. And in those moments, the heart immediately whispers, "Why me?" But what feels like rejection is often Allah's way of guarding you from something your eyes cannot yet see. What you perceive as loss may actually be mercy. What you interpret as failure may be the beginning of a much better through. Allah knows what lies behind every door, both the ones He opens and the ones He closes. He knows the unseen, the things that would harm your heart, delay your growth, or derail your purpose. Sometimes He closes a door you desperately wanted to walk through because He knows it leads to pain you are not meant to experience. Sometimes He blocks a path because it would have taken you away from the person you're meant to become. And sometimes He removes people or plans because they would have drained your peace or weakened your connection with. His protection doesn't always look like what you expect. It often appears as disappointment, interruption, or endings. We tend to believe that if something doesn't work out, it's because we weren't good enough. But closed doors don't reflect your worth, they reflect Allah's wisdom. He withholds what you want to give you what you need. He turns you away from what is temporary to prepare you for what is lasting. He takes away illusions so He can build foundations. Every no from the world is a vice from Allah to something greater, even if it's invisible in the moment. If you think back on your life, you'll probably notice moments where you were devastated by something that didn't work out. Yet later, you realize that if it had happened, it would have cost you more than it blessed you. Hearts that were once shattered by rejection usually come to understand that those closed doors were forms of divine rescue. You were being saved from heartbreak, from misguidance, from wasted time, from wrong people, or from a future that was not aligned with your soul. You were being redirected towards a place where your growth, peace, and purpose could bloom. Allah's redirection is one of His most beautiful gifts. He moves you away from what you wanted, so He can guide you toward what you're meant for. But the space between a closed door and the opening of a new one is often where faith is tested. This is where patience is needed, where trust is built, and where your heart learns to surrender to something greater than your plans. In that space of uncertainty, You are not being ignored, you are being prepared. Allah is arranging things in the background, timing, circumstances, people, and opportunities in a way that only becomes clear when everything finally comes together. Just like a mother pulls her child away from danger even if the child cries, Allah pulls you away from paths that would pass even if your heart aches. He sees the whole picture while you only see a fragment. And the one who loves you more than you love yourself will never let you step into something that diminishes you. His protection sometimes comes disguised as disappointment. His mercy sometimes arrives in the form of ending. His love sometimes appears as a door that will not open no matter how hard you knock. So the next time you face a closed door, don't let your heart fall into despair. Instead, pause and say, Allah is protecting me from something I do not see. Trust that He is redirecting you towards something better, something more aligned with your destiny. What is meant for you will not pass you, and what passes you was never meant to, and when the right door finally opens, you will understand why every other one had to remain closed. You will see that none of it was rejection. It was divine protection, divine timing, and divine rewriting of your life in the most beautiful way. Pain becomes meaningful when it turns into dua and connection with Allah. On its own, pain feels heavy, messy, and overwhelming. It feels like an unwanted guest that invades your heart, disturbs your peace, and leaves you exhausted. But the moment you take that pain, those tears, those fears, those unanswered questions, and place them before Allah, the entire experience transforms. What once felt like suffering becomes a bridge. What once felt like weakness becomes a doorway to strength. Pain is not just something you endure, it becomes something that carries you back to the one who created you, the one who understands you without words, the one who heals in ways no human ever can. There are moments in life where your heart feels tight, your chest heavy, and your mind scattered. These are the moments when Allah is inviting you to come closer. Pain becomes a kind of spiritual awakening, reminding you that real comfort is not found in distractions or temporary solutions. It is found in sincere dua. When your pain drives you to raise your hands, to lower your head in sujud, to whisper your fears to Allah in the stillness of the night, then that pain has already begun to heal you. It has already fulfilled its purpose. It has brought you back to the source of peace. Pain without Allah feels like a burden. Pain with Allah becomes a teacher. Through pain you learn patience, humility, resilience, and trust. Through pain you discover that your heart's deepest relief comes not from the situation changing, but from the moment you remember that Allah is with you through it. When you turn your pain into dua, you are not just asking for solutions, you are surrendering, admitting your need, and allowing Allah to hold your heart. And there is no moment more beautiful in a believer's life than when their broken heart sits in the presence of its Creator. Allah loves those moments of intimate dua that come from a wounded heart. A tear shed in sujud is more beloved to Him than 1,000 moments of ease. A whisper made with trembling lips is more meaningful than loud, empty words. When Allah puts pain in your life, He is not pushing you away. He is pulling you closer. He is cleaning your heart, softening it, and turning it into a place where faith can grow again. Pain strips away the layers of pride, distractions, and illusions. It forces you to confront your weakness, which is exactly when you realize how powerful Allah's support truly is. Think of the times you cried and felt alone, only to discover later that those moments changed something inside you. You became stronger, you became more aware, you became more connected to Allah. Sometimes a single tear in dua can lift a burden that you carried for years. Sometimes one honest conversation with Allah can give you clarity that no human ever could. Pain teaches you to stop running to the world and start returning to the one who controls the world. It teaches you that no matter how much people love you, no one can heal you the way Allah can. The beauty of pain is that it humbles you enough to ask, sincerely, Ya Allah, I need you. Those 3 words can transform your life. Suddenly, the pain that once felt meaningless becomes a form of worship. The sleepless nights become a reason to talk to Allah when everyone else is unaware. The heartbreak becomes a reminder of where true love and true comfort are found. The disappointment becomes a chance. I trust your plan even when I don't understand it. Pain infused with dua becomes strength. It becomes clarity. It becomes a turning point. You begin to realize that the pain itself was never the enemy. It was the silence, the distance, the forgetting of Allah. And when pain brings you back to Him, it has done something far more powerful than simply hurting you. It has elevated you. It has purified you. It has connected you to the one who heals without scars and gives without limits. So don't run from your pain. Transform it. Lift it. Raise it to the one who sees every tear before it falls. Turn your wounds into whispers of faith. Turn your heaviness into sujood. Turn your fear into trust. When your pain becomes dua, it becomes the moment Allah rewrites your heart, strengthens your soul, and leads you to the peace you were searching for all along. Hardship is a sign of being chosen for purification and spiritual strength. It may not feel that way when you're in the middle of it, when the weight on your heart feels unbearable, when your plans fall apart, when your loved ones disappoint you, or when life feels like a series of storms with no clear sky in sight. In those moments, hardship feels like a punishment or a sign that something is wrong with you. But in reality, hardship is often an indication that Allah sees something in you worth refining, strengthening, and elevating. He does not place heavy tests on empty hearts. He places them on hearts He wants to purify, elevate, and bring closer to Him. Hardship strips away the layers that conceal your soul. It removes the illusions of control you think you have. It humbles you, softens you, and reminds you of your true need for Allah. Purification is not easy. It is a process that removes the dirt of arrogance, heals the wounds of attachment, and clears the dust that has settled over your spiritual vision. And Allah knows that certain lessons, certain depths of faith, and certain levels of closeness to Him cannot be reached except through struggle. Ease rarely transforms you. Hardship does. Ease keeps you comfortable. Hardship wakes your heart up. If Allah loves a servant, He does not let them remain stuck in patterns that distance them from Him. So He tests them. He shakes their life just enough to remind them who is in control. He takes away something they relied on too strongly to redirect their trust back to Him. He closes doors that were blocking their growth. He lets them experience weakness so they can discover His strength. Hardship becomes a form of divine mercy, an uncomfortable but necessary cleansing that clears the heart of what was weighing it down. Look at the people Allah honored most in history. The prophets, the righteous, the people of deep faith. Every one of them walked through hardship after hardship. They faced rejection, loneliness, fear, injustice, loss. But these very hardships are what shaped them. These are what purified their hearts, sharpened their faith, and made them examples for humanity. Hardship wasn't a sign of Allah's displeasure. It was a sign of their spiritual potential. Their struggles didn't mean they were forgotten. They meant they were chosen. When Allah wants to elevate you, He prepares you. And preparation often comes through diffa too. He teaches you patience when things don't go your way. He teaches you resilience when you feel like giving up. He teaches you tawakkul, true reliance, when you have no option except to trust Him. These qualities cannot be learned from books or lectures. They are learned through life's real tests. And every hardship is custom designed by Allah for your spiritual growth. Not to break you, but to build you. Not to punish you, but to polish you. The pain you feel now is not random. It is breathing new strength to you. It is shaping your character. It is expanding your capacity for compassion, wisdom, and faith. Each time you choose patience instead of despair, each time you continue praying even when your heart feels heavy, each time you trust Allah despite not understanding the plan, you rise, you purify, you become someone your past self would not even recognize. Hardship is also a sign that Allah is clearing your poem. Sometimes He removes people, opportunities, or comforts because they were harming you spiritually even if they benefited you materially. Sometimes He delays what you want because He knows you aren't ready yet. Sometimes He allows heartbreak so your attachment shifts from the creation to the Creator. In every hardship, there is a hidden purification, one that gently removes what was holding you back. And the most beautiful part, Allah never tests you to leave you weaker. He tests you to return you stronger, closer, and more aware of His presence. When the hardship settles, you will look back and realize that every moment of pain was a step toward a deeper connection with Him. You will see that the test was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to uncover the strength and faith that were already planted within you, waiting to bloom. So when hardship comes, don't think, why me? Think, Allah is purifying me. Allah is preparing me. Allah is choosing me, because that is exactly what hardship means. It is a divine sign that your heart is being readied for something greater. Spiritually, emotionally, and eternally, Allah uses loneliness to detach you from illusions and bring you back to your true source of peace. Loneliness is one of the deepest emotional pains a person can feel, yet it often holds the most transformative wisdom. It is in those moments when you feel unseen by people, unheard by the world, and emotionally disconnected from everything around you that Allah is quietly calling you back to Him. Loneliness feels heavy because it removes the noise you've been using to distract yourself. It strips away the false calm for self, the temporary attachments, and the illusions you thought would bring you peace. It forces you to confront the truth peace was never in people, routines, or circumstances. It was always in the one who controls the heart. We often cling to illusions without realizing it. We cling to relationships thinking they will complete us. We cling to success believing it will fulfill us. We cling to attention, validation, and approval, hoping they will heal the emptiness inside. But illusions are fragile. They break easily. And when they break easily, the loneliness that follows feels unbearable. Yet this is exactly when Allah steps in, not to punish, but to purify. He removes the attachments that were holding your heart hostage. He takes away the things you depended on more than Him. He allows you to feel the weight of loneliness so you can finally disconnect from what was never meant to carry you. Loneliness becomes a spiritual detox. It clears the space in your heart that was filled with expectations from people who could never meet them. It creates silence where your soul can finally breathe again. It teaches you how much you relied on others for happiness, for identity, for comfort, and how limited and temporary that reliance truly was. When Allah pulls you into solitude, He is not isolating you, He is guiding you. He is freeing you from illusions so He can replace them with something real, His presence, His closeness, His peace. There is a kind of loneliness that pushes you toward despair, but there is another kind that pushes you toward awakening. When you sit alone with your thoughts and your heart whispers, "I feel empty," that is not a sign of failure. It is a call to return. That emptiness is the space where Allah places tranquility once you turn to Him. That ache you feel is the soul longing for the one it was created to rely on. You were not made to depend on people. You were made to depend on Allah. And loneliness reminds you of that truth in the most profound way. Through loneliness, Allah teaches you who is temporary and who is eternal. He shows you the fragility of human love and the perfection of His love. He teaches you that people may leave, but He will never leave. People may forget you, but He remembers you. People may disappoint you, but He responds to every whisper of your heart. Once you experience that kind of divine companionship, you understand that loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the presence of Allah in a way you might never have felt in a crowded room. When Allah wants to elevate your spiritual state, He often begins by detaching you from illusions. Loneliness breaks the ties that distracted you. It removes the dependence that weakened you. It forces you to search for meaning beyond this world. And once you find meaning in Allah, the loneliness that once felt like a burden becomes a blessing. It becomes a turning point in your faith. You begin to see that the silence was mercy, the emptiness was guidance, and the isolation was a path back to the one who gives your heart its true home. Eventually its true home. The same loneliness that once brought you to tears becomes the reason you fall in love with your Creator in a deeper, more sincere way. You start to understand that Allah was not taking people away. He was giving you Himself. He was not isolating you. He was rescuing you. He was not leaving you empty. He was clearing space for peace, clarity, and spiritual grounding. You realize that the peace you were searching for in the world was always waiting within you, placed there by the one who never abandons you. So if you find yourself feeling lonely, don't rush to fill the silence with distractions. Sit with it. Listen to what your soul is trying to tell you. Because loneliness is not a void, it is a divine reminder. It is Allah calling you back to the peace that never fades, the companionship that never fails, and the love that was always meant to anchor your heart.